Shocking, government and Lungu family set burial talks. End to 4-month feud finally? After months of silence, tension, and bitter exchanges, the impossible has finally happened. The Zambian government and the family of the late Edgar Lungu are set to meet for formal burial discussions. But what triggered this sudden breakthrough after 4 long months of deadlock? Who made the first move, the government or the Lungu family? And most importantly, what conditions are being set behind closed doors? Stay with us, because what's emerging could end one of Zambia's most divisive national standoffs or reignite it completely. Welcome to InspirAfrica Official, where we break down Africa's most powerful political stories with facts, depth, and insight. In this episode, we dive into the long-awaited meeting between President Hakainde Hichilema's administration and the family of the late Edgar Lungu. For 4 months, Zambia has watched in suspense as legal wrangles, diplomatic complications, and emotional appeals delayed the burial of the former head of state. But now, as both sides prepare for talks, the question on every Zambian's mind is, will this be the end of the feud, or just the calm before another political storm? Zambia holds its breath as the government and the Lungu family finally agree to sit down for burial discussions after months of political and emotional tension. What's really behind this sudden move? Could this mark a turning point in the nation's search for closure, or open a new chapter of hidden negotiations and political influence? Join InspirAfrica Official as we unpack the real story behind the secret burial talks and explore what it means for Zambia's unity, legacy, and future politics. The twist no one saw coming. Zambia wakes up to a headline no one saw coming. After 4 months of silence, tension, and pain, the government and the Lungu family have finally agreed to sit down for official burial talks. For over 100 days, the late Edgar Lungu's body has remained unburied, a symbol of political division and emotional paralysis. What was once expected to be a simple state funeral turned into one of the most complex and controversial standoffs in Zambia's modern history. The government maintained its position firmly. The burial must take place on Zambian soil, with full state honors befitting a former head of state. But the Lungu family, led by former First Lady Esther Lungu and family lawyer Makibi Zulu, refused to comply without guarantees, citing security concerns, alleged political hostility, and what they described as a lack of respect for the late president's legacy. For weeks, both sides stood their ground. Statements were made, emotions flared, and the body of the former president remained in South Africa, preserved, guarded, and at the center of a storm. But now, something has shifted. Reliable sources whisper of private meetings between Lusaka and Pretoria officials. The tone from both camps has softened, and for the first time, the word agreement is being used in reference to Lungu's final resting place. So what has changed? Has President Hakainde Hichilema's administration extended an olive branch, or has the Lungu family realized that time and public sentiment are no longer on their side? After 4 months of cold silence, Zambia stands at the edge of a new chapter, one that could finally bring closure or reignite the storm all over again. The public reacts, hope, doubt, and suspicion as the news of the talks broke. Zambians took to social media in a wave of mixed emotions. Some expressed relief, saying this was a long overdue step toward national reconciliation. Others, however, remained deeply suspicious, questioning the motives behind the timing. One Lusaka resident told a local radio station, "We all want peace, but we also want truth." Why now? What has the government promised the Lungu family behind closed doors? Another caller responded emotionally, "Whether you loved him or not, Edgar Lungu was our president. Let him be buried with dignity." This feud has divided families, churches, and even villages. It's time to end it. Political analysts believe both sides have something to gain. For the government, ending the feud would project maturity and compassion, silencing critics who accuse them of vindictiveness. For the Lungu family, it could be an opportunity to restore dignity and begin rewriting the former president's legacy, not as a victim of political games, but as a leader finally laid to rest in peace. The 4-month feud, inside the pain, and politics. To understand the magnitude of this moment, we must rewind. It began immediately after Edgar Lungu's sudden death in South Africa, an event that shocked the nation and sent political tremors across the continent. Instead of unity, grief turned into conflict. The Zambian government demanded that the body be returned for an official state burial, insisting it was the right of every former head of state. But the Lungu family refused. They accused the government of hypocrisy, alleging mistreatment, humiliation, and years of political persecution. Former First Lady Esther Lungu said her family could not trust those who tormented Edgar in life to honor him in death. For weeks, statements flew from both sides. Lawyers entered the fray. The courts in Pretoria got involved. And as days turned into months, Zambia watched helplessly as the body of its former president became a symbol of unfinished justice, trapped between two nations and two bitter narratives. Analysts described it as one of the most painful political standoffs in Zambia's history. And through it all, ordinary citizens began to ask, has Edgar Lungu truly found peace? Or is his death being used for politics? The turning point, a call for dialogue, then, suddenly, a breakthrough. Reports began to emerge that representatives from the Zambian government and the Lungu family had opened a channel for structured dialogue. Sources close to both camps revealed that religious and diplomatic mediators helped initiate the talks, urging both sides to find common ground in the interest of national healing. According to insider accounts, President Hakainde Hichilema's office reached out discreetly through the Ministry of Home Affairs, proposing an official meeting focused on the dignified repatriation and burial of Edgar Lungu. At the same time, Esther Lungu, through Makibi Zulu, indicated willingness to talk, but only if the meeting addressed respect, safety, and burial dignity. Observers say this marks the first real sign of progress since April, when the feud first began. A senior PF insider commented off-camera, "Everyone is exhausted, the politics, the tension, the pain. What people want now is closure. Even the Lungu family knows the body cannot remain in South Africa forever." What lies ahead? A nation holding its breath even as optimism grows, caution remains. Sources close to the negotiations hint that the burial talks won't be simple. Several unresolved issues remain, including the location of the burial, the state's involvement, and whether there will be an official ceremony attended by top government officials, including President Hichilema himself. Some reports suggest the Lungu family still fears political exploitation, while others say the government wants to ensure the process reflects national unity, not political rivalry. Behind closed doors, church leaders, diplomats, and traditional authorities are said to be guiding the conversation, reminding both sides that Zambia's peace and image are at stake. After months of division, perhaps this moment signals something deeper, a chance for Zambia to heal. A chance to bury not just a former president, but the bitterness and mistrust that have divided the nation since his passing. So will the government and the Lungu family finally find common ground? Will Edgar Chagwa Lungu be brought home at last, to the soil he once ruled, to the people he once served? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, the outcome of these talks will define how Zambia remembers its sixth president and how the nation moves forward from 4 months of silence, sorrow, and division.